Hey everybody, Tim Kawakami here, recording from the home studio TK show. Very glad to have on as my guest. He's been on before, but not that often. But someone I've known for a long time. The president of baseball operations, San Francisco Giants, is Buster Posey. Buster, how you doing today?
Doing well, Tim. Good to see you. We're going to see you down here in Scottsdale, any?
I don't think so. I do mean to get down there. It's a big hole. It's tough to get down there. So I will get down there at some point in the future. This year, probably not. Those Warriors do draw me out there, but I'm glad you asked. I like it when people ask. Get down there because it's a good way to see the team. That's for sure. I'm always curious. We're trying to get the vibe of these things. Like outsiders want to know what it's like there. I'm sure players are a little curious, and executives certainly want to get a feel. Just like you've been, pitchers and catchers have been there for about a week, and I know a lot of position players have been there for about the same time. Guys filtering in. Buster, you're the guy who's kind of operating this thing. What's the vibe you're getting from your guys?
Yeah, it's a good vibe. I mean, I think probably the other 29 teams would tell you the same thing. Hope springs eternal this time of year, which is always great. It's fun. But this is a big spring for us with Tony Vitello and the rest. A lot of new staff this year, so everybody's getting to know one another. I was talking to Dave Grushner, our longtime head athletic trainer, today, and he's like, "Man, these guys are working their tail off." So that's the expectation, but it's always good to hear that being reinforced. So off to a good start. We got some live batting practices going on. And then we'll have our first game a week from yesterday. No, sorry, this coming Saturday. So be rocking and rolling here soon.
You mentioned Vitello. Obviously, he's the big hire, the new manager coming straight from college. Just like, is there a moment or two you can point out over the last week or so where you go, okay, yeah, that's the guy. That's why he's here. That's why I hired him. Any time you kind of felt that just watching him?
It's cool to see him get out and kind of mix it up with the players. He's bouncing around, whether it's the half field or in the bullpens, and he'll get in and take ground balls with pitchers when they're doing the PFPs and feed them. He's hitting fungos. That's not why you hire a guy, but I think it is an example of him being a little bit different. Like, I don't know how many other managers are out mixing it up with their guys. Maybe there are some more, but he's also a guy, and you've probably picked up on it yourself, Tim, but he's a great speaker. So when he's addressing the team, like he has a couple of times already, he has a real gift to be able to hold a room. And I think that'll serve him well throughout the course of the year, and hopefully, as he's trying to create this unit, this camaraderie that we all know it takes to have a successful winning team. That's a key attribute for him, I think.
You've mentioned, like, I think the day you introduced him is like, hey, you'd like competitive fire, like edginess. He certainly had that reputation at Tennessee. Obviously you don't want to overdo it. These are professionals, but have you seen that, or have you added some guys you think a little bit more fiery in that clubhouse, in the dugout, on the field?
Well, I mean, right now it's hard to say. I mean, with not playing any games, even spring training games, I think they're a different animal. I think we'll probably see that come out more once the season gets going. Um, but yeah, as far as adding guys, I mean, Harrison Bader's an easy one to point to. Plays with an edge. Even Arise, I've always enjoyed watching his at bats. There can be some flamboyancy, I guess, in the batter's box, and it takes a different cast of characters for sure to make a great team. But ultimately, Tony's talked about this a lot. You really want guys to be themselves. You don't necessarily want somebody to go out and think they've got to do something that they're not. But I think what Tony's probably been good at, it, if I had to guess, with his other teams that he's led, is he's not going to be somebody that's going to tamp down a personality and say you have to do things a certain way. So we'll see. We'll see how that all plays out.
You mentioned Arise. I got to think, when you were trying to get him out and you got your pitcher throwing all these pitches and he's fouling them off and he's fighting you. Can you recall what that was like? And is that a sense of what he can add to your lineup?
Yeah, he can be a pest for sure. When I was calling pitches against these guys, I mean, I can remember talking to Matt Cain about this type of profile of a hitter. You almost are just like, you know what? We're going to set up middle. We're going to throw a fastball right down the middle. Let him put it in play. If he gets his hit, tip your hat and move on. Because sometimes, to your point, those guys will run the pitch count up 10, 12 pitches and cause more problems, even if they end up getting out, than just kind of forcing the contact early. So he's a guy for me as well that you love to see come up to the plate when there's a call for some situational hitting, whether it's moving a runner, whether it's runner on third with less than 2 outs. I mean, you're looking for a strikeout in that situation, and he's going to strike out most likely less than everybody else in the league. So he's going to be a lot of fun to watch, and he's working his tail off defensively already as well. He and Wash are out there. Wash has got all the infielders out there working, which is really fun to see. Matt Chapman was kind of reminiscing a little bit with me the other day about his time in Oakland with Wash. And so feel good that Luis is in his hands, and he's going to be prepared. I'm confident of that.
I know it's always a look forward job, but this has been a year. It was your first year as an executive last year. Just what do you, as you go back through it or whatever you did in the offseason to alter things, what was significant in your mind? You made some significant moves, clearly. You trade for Devers, you sign Adames before that, you make a manager change. In your mind, as you went from there to here, like what were the significant things that kind of hit you throughout that process?
Sorry. So just as far as
not the details maybe, but just it's been a year of this, and what's significant about this year in your mind?
Gosh, I'm not sure if I could pinpoint significance. I mean, you said some of them. Us bringing Adames and trading for Devers. I really feel like we're a group that's pretty close to playing some really meaningful baseball. And I hate even saying that, because that sounds like a cop out in a sense. And I've always said like we're in this to compete to win a World Series. It's not just to be competitive. If I thought that, well, I was going to say, if I thought that we weren't going to be that group, I would say it. I wouldn't say that, but
you say it differently. You say it differently.
I can honestly say I do think we have a group that can compete to win a World Series. I think about last year and some of the down stretches that we had. We had a hard time coming out of them. And I think that's what the better teams are able to do, is you can avoid being in those stretches for a long period of time. Last year for me personally, it was a big learning experience, learning the cadence of a season, as far as, the draft coming up, the trade deadline, and then going through 2 off seasons now, understanding the flow of the off season. So, it's I think in anything, you're always going to continue to learn and try to grow in whatever aspect of what you're doing. But I can honestly say I've enjoyed doing it. I mean, are you going to enjoy something completely all the time? No, but if you did that, you probably are going to miss out on if you don't have some rough times, then you won't appreciate the good times.
You made some huge decisions. Obviously, I mentioned Devers and the manager change and hiring Vitello. That's a big move, since it's so often, it's not often done, hardly ever done, to hire a manager from college. The process of that, Buster, did you know you're going to come into this pretty decisive? Did you get to that point going, I just like the way I'm looking around, I better make these moves now? How did that evolve?
As far as the Devers or Tony?
Yeah, both of them. I mean, just the process you've gone through. But let's start with Devers. Like, that's taking on a lot of money, making a very big move. It was before the trade deadline. It's just the idea of like, I don't want to like shy away from a big move. Just your thought process through that.
Well, I think as much as anything, with Devers, the chance to add a truly impactful bat in the middle of the lineup is not an easy thing to do anywhere, and it's been, well chronicled for us that in San Francisco, it's hard to attract free agents hitters there sometimes. So as far as being aggressive, I think that in itself lent me and the group to feel like this was a move that was really worth pursuing hard. And then it is a lot of money that you're taking on, and to get the support from ownership to go through that. Obviously, we needed them to sign off on it. So I don't know, Tim. I think, if I think back to a year and a half ago when I took this job, I think I want to be opportunistic if there's something out there that um, maybe perceived as risky. Maybe it is risky. I mean, I think about hiring Tony, and by the time that it was announced that we were going to hire him, for me, um, just getting to know him and talking to other people about him, it didn't feel as risky to me probably as it did to somebody that was not involved in those conversations. And Tony's been great about it too. Is like we don't know. I mean, we still don't know, right? We don't know how things are going to turn out, but I'm confident just in the person and the way that he goes about his work and how he reads people, commands a room, can motivate. So yeah, I mean, all in all, I was talking to Ken Rosenthal this morning, and he said something. He's like, when you're a player, if I would have envisioned you being as an executive, I wouldn't have described you as a risk taker. And I don't know if I look at myself necessarily as a risk taker, but one lens I do look through is like this sport is ultimately supposed to be fun, and it is fun and taking some, I guess we'll call them perceived chances at times.
Memory making business. I heard someone say that before. And
Yeah,
you do that by taking a few swings at it. Well, you mentioned meaningful baseball. And I got to mention the team that's always sitting there. And Greg Johnson was asked about this a few days ago, and the Dodgers are there. Dodgers are adding, Dodgers are paying, Dodgers are the Dodgers. Do you have to measure yourself against them at some point, or at some point when you're building a roster, you got to take them out of the equation and say they're going to do what they're going to do? We have to figure out our own lane here.
Yeah, I mean, I think, yeah, honestly, I don't look at it necessarily. Of course, you're going to look at it kind of like, how do we think we're going to stack up to whether it's the Dodgers or the Padres or the Diamondbacks or the Rockies in our division, or now with the schedule, you're playing every team during the course of the season. But as much as anything, I think for me, anyways, I'm trying to feel like put a roster together that one is as complete as it can possibly be. You want a little bit of speed, obviously. You want some power. You want some contact guys. You want some pitchers that'll give you different looks. Are we gonna, be able to do that perfectly, even in our own eyes, all the time? Probably not, but we're gonna give our best go at it. And also think that you look at the Blue Jays last year and some of the contributions that they got from players that I would venture to say going into the season, they probably didn't think they were going to get some of those contributions. And I do think there's a lot of teams that have success, not only for the length of the season, but postseason success, have some of those internal players that step up and maybe give you a little bit more than you were expecting. And I do think we have those guys in our system. Some of them have gotten a little bit of a taste last year, and we may see some more this year. But ultimately, I feel really good about who our core pieces are. And then with some of these additions, plus, the hopeful notion that we are going to get contributions from some pitchers and even position players internally. I think we're positioned to be in a good spot, and ultimately we can just go. We have to control what we can control on a daily basis. I know that's boring. It's cliche, But that's the reality.
So when Kyle Tucker ends up in LA, Edwin Diaz ends up in LA, you're not going, oh no, what are we doing? We got to go piece for piece here. I can't imagine that's too practical a mentality.
Shoot, my light just went out.
Yeah, it's okay. We
Is
can
it
still see
is
it.
it
Yeah,
fine?
yeah,
Okay.
still looks fine.
Yeah, no. I mean, it's yeah, that wasn't a thought for me. As far as going toe to toe with those, just not the reality of the situation that we're in, and frankly, I'm not even sure that that's my belief is the best way to build a roster long term. I mean, again, I draw on my time as a player, but Brian Sabian and Bobby Evans and their scouting department and amateur department did a great job of adding talent that way, and that was the core of our teams. And then they did a great job supplementing it with some better veteran pieces along the way. So obviously, more than one way to go about it and get it done, and yeah, I think it's what makes sports great is that you can go one route and get it done. You can go another route and get it done. And we don't. I'm looking at the schedule right now on my desk. We don't know until September, whatever it's going to be,
Late
how it'll
September.
play out.
I know it's always case by case. You bring a deal to ownership. If it's a free agent deal, can we go? Can we do this? What do you think? It's not a general budget. I know Greg and you have spoken about that a lot, but fact is, no free agent deal longer than 2 years. Nobody more than 22. That's something $23 million. Was there a ceiling on this, or was it just a matter of the guys out there in your mind? It wasn't going to be a point where you were going to try to bring in a guy for that amount of money at this point in time.
Yeah, I think one thing that I probably didn't appreciate as a player, that I have to think about a lot more now is not just the short term impact, but what's the long term impact look like, and what might some of these decisions we make, how might they impact, uh, obviously the first couple of years, but what's the impact going to be 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 years, whatever it may be, down the line, and also, um, giving yourself a little bit of wiggle room to make additions at the trade deadline as well. Um, so I mean, all of that's coming into play, and I have a really good relationship with the ownership group, and feel like if myself or our group would come to them and say, hey, we really believe in this player for X, Y, and Z, they're going to entertain it. So it's kind of a roundabout way of not really answering your question about this year's class. Um, but I don't want, I guess I want to be careful I don't want to sell short, Hauser, Molly, because we have high hopes for both
Yeah.
those guys, Bader, Arise. Um, these guys, I mentioned the other day, they've been in the big leagues for a long time for a reason, because they're really good big leaguers. And there's been some injuries along the way, like most guys have. But I mean, we're excited for them to be on our roster and believe they're going to be really big contributors for us this year.
I'll also note that nobody signed cost you a comp pick. I don't know if you can answer definitively of this, but were you just pretty much not going to cross that line to sign someone who's going to cost you a comp pick?
Um, I don't think not, I don't think, I know we didn't go into it saying we're not going to sign somebody if they've got a qualified offer attached to them. But it does give you pause sometimes too. I mean, I think you really have to, um, have a strong feeling about a player, because it can. I mean, we saw last year we lost out on our second round pick and our fifth round pick, and um, it does make the draft feel a little bit more thin. There's no doubt about that. I mean, you see Gallen ends up going back to Arizona just recently, and there's no doubt in my mind that attachment that he had on him probably impacted his market. So that's going to be an interesting one to watch. as this new basic agreement is negotiated, to see if that one ends up sticking in there or not.
You have the international signings, which I've really noticed is last 3 years, two of them with you in charge have brought in some pretty major players, all shortstops. Obviously, we know shortstops. Buster Posey used to play shortstop. Shortstop is the position where when you're young, that's the most athletic players. How much focus is this on your part? Like, let's get these guys in, because there's not going to be a salary cap on international signings. There is a cap, but there isn't one that costs other departments. Let's get the most talent possible there. It's going to be a long leadway, right? It's not going to be a while before these guys are in major leagues. But how excited, how interested, how focused have you been on that avenue of acquiring talent?
Well, I've got to give credit to Joe Salermo, who is our head of that department for international, and he's just done a great job at establishing relationships and really targeting these talented players. And to your point, I don't think it is rocket science. You go get athletes, you go get people that are in the middle of the diamond, and Joe and it will being able to bring in Joshua the year before and Luis this year. We're excited about them. It's to your point, they're 17 and 18 years old, and I catch myself sometimes feeling a little bit impatient. And you want to see these guys play, and you want to see them playing at the upper levels, but it's great to have guys like Randy Wynn and Kyle Haynes and player development, because I feel like they probably have more patience than I do, and we want these players to make sure they get the proper development. But at the same time, we'll see how fast they develop, and I don't think if we feel like they need to be pushed a little bit, then we'll certainly do that.
And Randy got you the fourth pick this year too, so you got that coming. You got the fourth pick. You had Keelan last year, a pretty high pick. Obviously, another shortstop. Are these guys? Well, I mean, you don't know who the fourth pick is, but fourth picks have gone fast. They've moved through the system very quickly in other teams. Are these guys you're looking for? Maybe could get to the big league relatively quickly.
I think we'll see. I mean, some of it'll be. I I'm probably of the ilk. You take the best available player, not necessarily trying to piece a draft pick to how you see them helping your team in the short term. But it's something to consider. To your point, and it'll be interesting as well to just see where we are in the season as a team. Because yeah, when you are picking up that high in the draft, we have seen it happen before where there's been some college arms taken, and then helping a team down the stretch. But Michael Holmes and his group with the amateur scouting, already pounding the pavement, doing a bunch of work there. So it'll be an exciting time to be able to pick there, and then hopefully after this year, we're not picking that high for a long time.
I got to ask you about Bryce Eldridge. Just early feel about him. I know you've been expressing patience. You don't want to rush him, and obviously he's still very young. But does that bat, do you think right now, just the bat play in the major leagues?
I think it has the potential to. He's to your point, he just turned 21 this past fall. Um, it's hard to replace reps and just real life experience being in the batter's box. And I think he's only going to get better and better. Has shown a lot of aptitude offensively, and he's working really hard on his defense. The bat, I feel very confident that it'll be an impact bat at some point. When that is, it's really just a matter of his maturation and development as a complete player.
Is there any hesitation about having him start as a DH? That wouldn't want to box him into that as an early player, or is that if he's best for that, that's where he can go right away?
I don't think there's hesitation. For me, again, you are trying to balance it and say, well, what's best for this guy long term. But no, I wouldn't say so. I don't think that if we as a group feel like he's ready and he's going to help the team, then Yeah, I don't think that's something that would hold us back. I think perfect case scenario, you're getting him in the field some and uh, keeping him engaged that way. But David Ortiz made a pretty good career
Yeah.
out of just being a DH. So it's possible.
You somewhat famously signed a 3-year deal last year, saying, you were saying, hey, if I'm not going to do it good, I don't necessarily need to do it anything longer than that, or didn't need a contract any longer. You're now fully 33% or more of it through it. Unless you've signed an extension, you can announce that too. You like this job, you like this thing, and would you imagine yourself being here more than 3 years?
Yeah, I mean, I'll get cliche. I really am going, day to day and staying in the moment, but I am enjoying it. I texted my wife earlier and relayed that to her, just that I feel lucky that I am getting to do something that I enjoy doing and being involved in a game that I've loved from the time I was a kid, and now getting to do it in a way that I honestly probably never thought that I would you know have a job in baseball like this. But I'm having a great time doing it, but no extension announcement, and we're focused on trying to win as many games as we can in 26.
Way to screw up my exclusive there, my scoop there. It's all good. Yeah, I'm curious. Andrew Luck, somebody I know, I've talked to him. Obviously he steps into the general manager job at Stanford. Had no experience in it, but clearly had been the face of that team for a long time. Went to the NFL. Yourself, do you see some parallels? So he said he would been meaning to talk to you. There's obviously some similarities there. Do you see some parallels, or have you been able to talk to him at all?
We caught up recently on the phone, and we were going to try to get together during that Super Bowl week, but we're unable to make it happen. But and we have some mutual friends as well that have talked to me quite a bit about Andrew, and yeah, I think there's some parallels for sure. I was kind of I think I'm curious to talk to him when we do get to sit down in person. As he stopped playing at a young age, and I stopped playing at a relatively young age. So yeah, it is it's kind of interesting to see that we're both back with programs or organizations that mean a lot to us. And by all accounts, from people I've talked to, I hear he's doing a wonderful job.
He's doing. I think he's embodying Stanford, and it's really interesting to see. All right, Buster, I'll ask you a version question. I think I've asked you before, and I've asked all my guests on the show. I'll ask a different one. Buster, what's your favorite book right now?
So I've been reading. I'm kind of working my way through it. It's Undaunted Courage. Have you read it?
I think I have. Go ahead. You explain it to me. Maybe a little while ago, but go ahead.
Yeah, so it's just a documentary on Lewis and Clark, mainly on Meriwether Lewis and Thomas Jefferson. But I found myself recently just being really fascinated with, thinking back 150 to 200 years ago, just how much society has changed in those times. I mean, that those guys were just complete animals to go from the East Coast all the way, up and down the Missouri, and then to cross the Bitterroots and just untamed territory. So that's been fascinating just to kind of hear their story in more detail, and really paved the path for where you and I live nowadays.
Yep, absolutely. I would think so. Yes, and yeah, and the risk involved. That's the part. I think I might have read an excerpt of that, and the risk involved, and like people died right on those journeys. So it was not without amount of risk. I'll put it that way.
There was a ton of risk, a ton of unknowns, and yeah, it's wild. It's wild. I don't even know what you can compare, some sort of expedition you would compare that to nowadays. Something probably in outer space, if I had to guess.
We're climbing up buildings or something. I don't know. I suppose the Netflix thing. All right, Buster. Listen, I appreciate your time. As always, I appreciate the conversation. I got to get out to Arizona. It's just been a hole in what I've done. The schedule's always been tough for me, but I'm glad you called me out on that. I got to get out there next year. I'll get out there next year.
All right, Tim, come see us.
I think by the last time I think I went to spring training was the year after you got hurt and you were coming back. And I still remember that at bat you took against Aroldis Chapman, and he got 2 strikes on you. You took a big deep breath. You took a fly ball to right. Do you remember that one?
I don't remember that, but
Okay.
I'll take your word for it.
I was there. All right, Buster. Listen, appreciate it. Thank you so much. That's the show for today, everybody.